Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful and shocking developments in this entire conflict. A Ukrainian strike on the Crimea Bridge has once again sent shockwaves across Russia, shaking not only its military operations but also its political stability and public confidence. What we're seeing right now is more than just another attack. It's a moment that could completely reshape the direction of this war, and the consequences are already spreading far beyond the battlefield. Over the past several months, Ukraine has steadily expanded its reach, precision, and capabilities. But this latest strike on the Crimea Bridge is different. It wasn't simply a symbolic hit. It was directed at the heart of Russia's supply and logistics lifeline. This bridge has always been more than just a road. For Russia, it symbolizes control, pride, and dominance. And for Ukraine, it represents everything that was taken away in 2014. When Ukraine hits this bridge, it's not just damaging concrete and steel. It's targeting the core of Russia's narrative and exposing the cracks in its military planning. The strike itself was carried out with remarkable accuracy. The timing, the angle, the coordination, everything points to a carefully calculated operation. Ukraine didn't rush this. They waited for the right moment, the right conditions, and the right opportunity to make the maximum impact with the minimum resources. And when the explosion echoed across the Kerch Strait, it wasn't just infrastructure breaking. It was the illusion of Russian control over Crimea shaking at its foundation. Russia's reaction was immediate and telling. Within minutes, emergency sirens began to sound, military units scrambled, and officials rushed to contain the panic. But the real damage wasn't only the physical destruction, it was the psychological blow. Russians across Crimea suddenly realized that the peninsula is not safe. The bridge they were told was protected, invincible, and secure has been hit again. Despite all the layers of air defenses that Russia claimed were impenetrable. What makes this strike even more significant is how it fits into the broader strategy Ukraine has been building. Ukraine has been using a combination of drones, long-range missiles, and precise intelligence to systematically weaken Russia's grip on Crimea. Air bases have been targeted. Fuel depots have gone up in flames. Radar stations have been blinded. Command centers have been disrupted. And now, with this strike on the Crimea Bridge, Ukraine is tightening the pressure at exactly the point where Russia is most vulnerable. The bridge is not just a transportation route. It is Russia's lifeline. It carries ammunition, fuel, equipment, food, and reinforcements. It keeps Crimea connected to mainland Russia. It allows the Russian army to operate without completely relying on vulnerable sea routes. When that lifeline gets hit, everything downstream begins to break down, supplies slow, convoys are delayed, movements become unpredictable, and the chain of command is forced to make decisions in panic rather than strategy. Inside Russia, this strike has created a massive political reaction. Officials are scrambling to reassure the public that everything is under control, but even they know this is not true. When a high-value target like the Crimea Bridge gets hit multiple times despite constant security upgrades, it raises questions. It raises doubts. And in a country where the government depends heavily on controlling public perception, doubts are dangerous. At the same time, this strike has boosted Ukrainian confidence dramatically. For months, Ukraine has been proving that it can reach deeper and deeper into areas that Russia once believed were completely safe. Each successful hit is a reminder that Ukrainian intelligence is sharp. Their technology is improving, and their strategic understanding of the battlefield is evolving. The Crimea Bridge strike is a message not just to Russia, but to the entire world. Ukraine can hit anywhere, at any time, and with increasing effectiveness. One of the biggest impacts of this strike is how it affects Russia's military logistics. Without reliable supply routes, Russia loses its ability to sustain operations. Ammunition stockpiles shrink, fuel becomes scarce, food deliveries slow down, soldiers feel the pressure, commanders lose flexibility, and morale begins to collapse. When troops see that the bridge connecting them to reinforcements and support can be destroyed, they start to realize that they are fighting on borrowed time. Ukrainian officials haven't officially confirmed all the details, But the pattern of recent operations shows a clear trend. Ukraine is no longer simply defending. They are shaping the future battlefield. They are preparing the conditions for larger operations by breaking the systems Russia relies on. And this strike on the Crimea Bridge fits perfectly into that long-term strategy. The shockwaves of this attack are also being felt internationally. Western allies are watching closely and responding with more support. Every time Ukraine demonstrates capability, accuracy, and strategic value, countries become more confident in supplying them with advanced weapons. This is why precision strikes like this one matter. They build trust. They prove Ukraine can use advanced systems effectively, and they encourage more international cooperation. Inside Crimea, the atmosphere has completely changed. Civilians who once believed the peninsula was untouchable are now feeling exposed. Videos from the region show long lines of cars trying to leave, empty stores, and rising tension. People are beginning to understand that the war is now at their doorstep. And when civilians lose trust in security, military pressure increases even more. Soldiers operate under stress. Supply workers hesitate. Emergency services become overloaded, and the overall stability of the region begins to collapse. This strike also highlights something Russia fears most: unpredictability. Ukraine is constantly adapting. New tactics, new drones, new angles of attack. They are using both Western technology and their own innovations to challenge Russia in ways that even experts didn't expect. And when a country can adapt quickly, it becomes extremely difficult to contain. One of the most interesting aspects of this moment is how it exposes the limits of Russian air defense. For years, Russia promoted its systems as among the most advanced in the world. But the Crimea Bridge strike shows that even heavy layers of defense, radars, missile systems, electronic warfare, cannot guarantee protection. This not only affects military planning, but also damages the reputation Russia tries to maintain internationally. There's also a deeper psychological element at play. Crimea was taken by Russia with a narrative of strength and inevitability, but every strike weakens that narrative. Every explosion makes the annexation look less permanent. And every hit on the bridge brings Ukraine one step closer to reshaping the entire dynamics of the war. From a military perspective, the timing of the strike is extremely important. Russia is already stretched thin across multiple fronts. They are dealing with manpower shortages, logistical weaknesses, internal disputes among commanders, and increasing international pressure. When Ukraine hits a strategic target like the bridge at a moment of Russian vulnerability, the impact multiplies. It disrupts planning, forces emergency responses, and drains resources that Russia desperately needs elsewhere. Ukraine's long-term goal is clear: isolate Crimea, weaken it, and make it unsustainable for Russia to hold. And the strike on the bridge is one of the most direct steps toward that goal. Every time the bridge is damaged, Russia must spend enormous amounts of money, manpower, and time repairing it. And each repair becomes more difficult as Ukraine grows more capable of targeting it again. This latest attack also creates political pressure on the Russian leadership. Citizens inside Russia are questioning why such a vital structure is still vulnerable. Critics are asking whether the war is still worth the losses. Families are worried about soldiers stationed in Crimea, and opposition voices, though limited, are growing louder. These internal pressures can shape decisions at the highest levels, especially when combined with international sanctions and economic strain. Meanwhile, Ukraine's message is clear: Crimea is not safe under Russian control. It is a battlefield, and as long as Russia occupies it, Ukraine will continue to target the infrastructure that sustains the occupation. This message resonates not only inside Crimea, but also across Russia, Europe, and the entire global stage. The strike also sends a signal to Russian forces stationed on the peninsula. Many of them already feel isolated, uncertain, and poorly supplied. When the bridge, their main connection to reinforcements, is hit, their confidence drops even further. Soldiers who lose confidence fight less effectively. Commanders who feel pressure make more mistakes. And armies that lack supplies cannot maintain momentum This environment creates a cycle that Ukraine is taking full advantage of. They don't need a massive assault. They don't need to rush troops into Crimea. They simply need to keep tightening the pressure, one strike at a time, until Russia reaches a breaking point. And this bridge strike is one of the most important steps in that escalating pressure. As the shockwaves continue to spread, analysts around the world are watching closely. Many believe that this could be one of the turning points of the conflict. It shows that Russia's control over Crimea is weakening. It shows that Ukraine's capabilities are improving. And it shows that the war is entering a new phase where long-range precision and strategic disruption are more important than sheer numbers. Russia is now faced with a difficult choice. They can pour more resources into defending the bridge, repairing it, and reinforcing air defenses. But doing so will weaken their operations elsewhere, or they can scale back their presence in Crimea, which would be seen as a major defeat. Both options carry huge consequences, and neither one is easy. For Ukraine, the path forward is clearer. They will continue targeting infrastructure, supply routes, ammunition depots, and military facilities. Every successful strike creates more opportunities. Every weakness they expose brings them closer to isolating the peninsula. And every hit on the Crimea Bridge accelerates the process that Russia has been trying to avoid since the beginning. The impact of this strike will continue unfolding in the days and weeks ahead. More disruptions, more delays, more pressure on Russian forces, more fear among civilians in Crimea, more debates inside Russia about the future of the war, and more support from international partners who now see Ukraine's strategy working in real time. This is not just a single moment, it is part of a larger shift. A shift in momentum, strategy, confidence, and perception. Ukraine has shown once again that the battlefield is changing, and Russia has been forced to react rather than lead. As we continue following the situation, one thing is clear. This strike on the Crimea Bridge has sent shockwaves far beyond the explosion itself. It has shaken military operations, political narratives, and public confidence. And it has opened the door to new possibilities in the months ahead. So stay tuned, because the developments that follow this moment could reshape the entire course of the conflict. And as always, we will keep bringing you every major update with clarity, accuracy, and real-time analysis.